Today I want to dive into a topic that has been on my mind for quite some time, and that is why I quit social media management. In this video, I'm going to walk you through my personal journey in the world of social media management, as well as share the real reasons why I decided to stop offering that service. Hey guys, my name is Uchechi, and on this channel I share helpful tips for content creators and business owners. So if you're new here on my channel, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for sticking around. Now, my journey into the world of social media management started in 2015, I think. So I had finished school, that's my undergraduate, in 2014. I had gone to camp in 2014 still, and then I finished my NYS in 2015, and thanks be to God, I got a job like shortly after my personal parade. So I got a job in 2015 still. If you're not sure what NYSC is, for those of you outside the country, or if you're outside the country, if you're outside Nigeria, NYSC is a one-year compulsory 1-year government scheme. Right, that's the best way I can describe it. So what happens during this 1 year is you finish your undergraduate, you graduate, go into like a scheme, a government scheme that typically will last for 1 year, and under that scheme you can be sent or deployed, like the military can be deployed or sent to different states within the country, right? Whether you know anyone there or not, whatever it is, you have to obey the clarion call, that people would say, right? So you are deployed or sent to states within the country to do different things depending on what's it called in the army now, depending on what maybe your deployment letter says. Exactly, that's perfect. That's the perfect way to try and describe this. So you are deployed, and then you have a deployment letter that states what you do for that 1 year. So some people are teachers, some people work in the hospitals. It's typically in line with what you studied in school. So I did mine like from 2014 to 2015, which was like 1 year, and then when I finished, shortly after, or almost immediately after, I got a job. And I got this job at a company called WeCare Limited. Now, WeCare Limited may not sound familiar, but Nature's Gentle Touch should sound familiar if you're an OG naturalista. So if you have been rocking your natural hair before rocking natural hair became a trend, or you've seen in Nigeria, then you probably would know Nature's Gentle Touch products. Nature's Gentle Touch is the a hair care line for or off WeCare Limited. So we had products, I'm still saying we so we had products catering to virgin hair, to relaxed hair, just your God-given hair without extensions. All right, I worked there for almost a year, or roughly a year, before I resigned, and that was because I had to go do my master's degree and I couldn't combine that with work, right? And while I was there, I had such a swell time, right? I remember I joined as a digital marketing executive, and one of my roles was to manage the brand's Instagram page, and that was also such a very fun time. That was when Instagram was still fun. We didn't have to battle with the algorithm like we're doing today. It was the game was simple. Someone followed you, you posted, someone saw your post. That was it, right? Of course, you would use hashtags. Of course, you would think about time of the day that you post, but nothing complex. Nothing complex. You would post. If someone is following you on Instagram, they would see your post when you post it. Right, the feed was in chronological order. You did not have to worry about niches or keywords or hashtags or posting schedule and all of that stuff, or reels or dancing in on video. You didn't have to worry about all of that. Instagram was simple, it was easy. I remember before I started handling the page had about 12,000 followers, and then by the time I resigned, I was leaving, the page had about 80,000 followers. Again, remember, this was 2015. Before someone sends me a message now or a DM asking for tips, remember, again, this was 2015. Instagram was easy. We did not have to battle with algorithms. Things were just pretty straightforward. So it was kind of easy to build an audience and a following on Instagram then. So yeah, that's how that turned out. And like I said, I had to resign to go for my master's degree, and since then, all of that roles I've had have been in line with social media management. So when I went for my master's, we had like a 3 month or 6 months, it was 3 months graduate internship period that we did before we completed and graduated from our master's degree, right? So mine was spent at the fintech, and at the fintech I was the community manager, which is still like sort of like social media management. So my job was come up with the content, put it on the content calendar, have my manager approve it, and when it's approved, show the graphic designer. He designs all the graphics for the month or maybe for the week and sends to me, and then I schedule them to go up, and then I engage. Again, fantastic times. Instagram had not started going through puberty like I like to describe it, and so there were not a lot of drastic changes. And then when I finished from that, I left there, unfortunately not on very good terms, and I got another job, and this was at a public relations agency. And again, my role was digital marketing consultant, I believe, and one of my roles was to handle the social media platforms for the PR agency, so Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, right? Of course, it was one main platform and then multi-sharing on other platforms. So what I mean is I didn't have like separate content strategies for all the three different platforms. It was one content strategy, one primary platform, and then I would now share to Facebook and Twitter while posting on Instagram, right? Then when I left there, I think I spent about 2 years at the PR agency. I left and then I started freelancing, right? And the last social media management gig I had was for an event company, which again I enjoyed, right? By this time, Instagram had started like changing, going through puberty and having those drastic and annoying changes, right? But I still enjoyed it more because of the offline part of the job. So because it was an event management company, it meant I was attending events and going for weddings, and I loved it. I did that for almost a year, and then COVID happened, and then of course events had to stop, so that ended. And when that ended, I realized I didn't want to do it anymore. In fact, before I took on that job, I tried to pass it off to someone else. I remember very well, I was in the kitchen one day, I got a call, that someone got my number as a recommendation for a social media manager. And after the call, I was like, oh my god, I don't want to do this, because by then I had decided I didn't want to do social media management, right? So I remember chatting or calling up one of my colleagues from the PR agency. She had also resigned and was doing her own thing. I remember like chatting her up to ask her if she would want to do that I can be the face, since I'm the one that the clients want, then she can do like the back end. I had a fantastic, in fact, people that I told and people that I still tell say, wow, you were cheating yourself. Like I had a fantastic, in her favor, profit sharing, revenue sharing system. But unfortunately, she did me dirty. That's a story for another day, and I ended up having to manage that project by myself, right? I had to take her off because she almost cost me that client, right? And it was damaging to my reputation, so I had to let her go. And anyway, that's my journey, right, through social media management. So I like to believe that I'm sort of an OG in the social media management world, right? Having done it from like 2015. Of course there are people that have done it before then, but it's not something that I just started doing like in the last 1 or 2 years. So what are the issues that have made me decide to walk away from social media management? One is anxiety, right? So when I was at my first job, the very first one, like I said, I enjoyed it. I would still say that it's one of my, when I talk about my social media management role at my first job, I talk about it with so much pride, because I was so good. I was so damn good, right? However, that came with a lot of anxiety, because for whatever reason, with how big the platform and the brand was, we always somehow had trolls on the page. And this was not because the products were bad, because I was also using the product on my hair. But then I had not gone natural. I was still like relaxing my hair, but I wasn't wearing extensions, because one of the policies for working there as a lady was that you would not have extensions in your hair. So which is realistic. You're working at a hair care company that produces products that take care, their whole, as at that time, I don't know if that has changed, at that time the whole narrative was take care of your hair is your crown, keep it healthy and all of that. So you can't be doing that and be having extensions in, especially because not a lot of people know how to use extensions in a way that protects your natural hair, right? So it made sense that if you're working here, you should show off your healthy natural hair without extensions. So the products were not bad because I was using the product, right? And because of me, some of my friends and family started buying those products and using them, and I never got any complaints. In fact, I think the only complaints I ever got from people was that their products were pricey, which they were. They were premium products. It was, yes, not everyone could afford the product, right? However, were the products good? Yes, but for whatever reason, we just always had trolls on the page, and that used to give me so much anxiety because I always now used to feel like I couldn't leave my phone down, or couldn't keep my phone down for a minute, because in my head, the moment I keep my phone down, the Instagram page will catch fire, right? So I was always on my phone Mondays to Sundays. I kid you not. Mondays to Sundays, I'm on my phone, I'm on the page, I'm monitoring things, I'm checking through comments, because especially when we ran ads, and that's something else I forgot to mention. One of the things that helped the page grow from 12,000 to about 80,000 was because we were also running ads periodically, right, on the page. So of course, if you run ads, you know that would usually attract followers to the page, right? Unfortunately, that attracted both followers, fans, and trolls. So we had two categories of negative comments, right? So we had those who were clearly trolling, had never bought the product, never used it, did not have any experience whatsoever, but would just always have something to attack about our post, about the product, or about the brand in general. And then we now had the category of people who had used it but were not satisfied. So either they had used it and maybe they didn't use it correctly, and so they didn't get the result that the product promised that it would get, or maybe when they had ordered the product, it had spilled on its way to them, and you know. But two categories: people that had genuinely had issues, you know, whatever the issues were, and people who were just simply trolls, right? And for these two categories, I had to manage them. So for those that were trolls, of course I'll delete you. There's no point. Why am I having you comment on your page, on my page, or on the brand's page? But for the other category, you know, I would tactically handle that. So I'm asking, oh, what is the issue? And then I'm taking it into the DM to have a longer conversation. And then when I'm done, I'm coming back on the page to say, thank you, this has been resolved, blah, blah, blah. And I will not necessarily delete those comments because, you know, it just makes the whole thing realistic, right? If it's just positive, then it means where the negative comments, I'd say not one person has had any issue with this product, right? So for those that had genuine issues, when they had been resolved, I'll leave them on the page. But all of that caused me anxiety because I always think, oh my God, what if I'm sleeping and then someone has gone and put a very terrible comment on the page, and then the MD sees it before I see it and before I have a chance to tackle it, you know. So in my head, after I left that job, I now associated social media management with anxiety, right? And that just, it carried on all through it carried on all through the various social media management jobs that I had, whether as a corporate job or as a freelancer, and that is something I absolutely did not enjoy. Something else that I did not enjoy was I've already mentioned at the beginning, you know, the platform was changing a lot. At the point, Instagram was going through puberty and there were a lot of changes happening on the platform that I just could not keep up with, right? You wake up one week and this is here, and then you wake up next week and they have changed it here and this, and then, so not just the platform but the game of Instagram, right? Then it was at the point it just became too much. I couldn't be bothered to keep up with them, especially when you now add to the fact that it was causing me so much anxiety. So it's like, this does not even, like, it's not even worth it, right? So there were a lot of changes that I just couldn't keep up with. I remember at the time I wanted to put together like an Instagram beginner course. It was one of the digital products I was supposed to launch, I think, last 2 years, and I started putting it together and I had to stop because the course was supposed to teach, you know, newbies how to use the platform, but the way it was going, right, if I had continued on that course, I'd have finished the course and everything about the platform would have changed. And I was just like, oh my God, what is happening? Get somebody else to do it. I was just like, you know what, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I want to be in control of certain things, and at the point Instagram was just changing beyond anyone's control, right? There was a lot of experimenting going on. It was a lot, you know. So I just decided that, you know what, yeah, it's probably time to retire the service, especially again because it was giving me so much anxiety. Now the third thing were the unethical practices going on with some social media managers. Now, there were times where I would see ads for either agencies or people pitching for social media management clients, and one of the deliverables I would see as a promise to potential clients or customers or businesses, potential clients, was, the guarantee of a certain number of followers either per week or per month. Now, if you've been in the social media management game, honestly and sincerely, you know that is not possible. If it was, then all social media managers should have like 1 million followers and above, even more than celebrities, right? If you have that formula, if it's sure for you, if it's sure for you that every week you're guaranteed 30 followers, every month you're guaranteed 200 followers, then you should have over 1 million followers, right? Unfortunately, business owners like that. A lot of business owners are attracted to the shiny metrics. So how many number of followers do we have? Especially before Instagram enabled sharing link for people who had less than 10,000 followers on Insta story. There was this craze on having over 10,000 followers, right, to the point that people started buying followers and doing all sort of unethical practices just to cross that 10,000 followers threshold, right? Thankfully, it's not that much of an issue now with UGC creators and brands going for like nano influencers and niche influencers. All of those things don't matter anymore, and with Instagram enabling link sharing on Insta story for everyone, whether you have 0 followers or whether you have 10 million followers, right? But then that was an issue, so people were doing all sorts of things to grow their pages or to grow the followers on their pages. So unfortunately, some business owners were attracted to that. I couldn't guarantee that, because in my opinion, and I stand firmly on that, for you to be able to guarantee a specific number, right? It's different if you say when we take over your page, you grow, because you will grow, right? Remember, I said at the first job that I had, when we moved from like 12,000 or 10,000 to like 80,000 followers, it was a combination of organic posts and sponsored posts or sponsored ads, right? It just makes sense that when you are running ads on the platform, you get more followers, because when you're running ads, it's more eyeballs and more traffic to your platform or to your pages, right? And some of those people will convert to followers. It just makes sense. It's just the logical thing that would happen, right? So it's different if you say, when I take over your page, I will grow your page, but when you now start guaranteeing specific numbers, I believe that you are now doing something that you should not be doing behind the scenes. So then things that were very popular, they are still going on now, but not as popular, but things that were very popular were engagement pods. So people will form a group of different business owners. Maybe a business is introduced to that group called a pod, and everyone in that group is told to go and follow that page and be engaging with that page. So every other person will engage with yours. I don't know if you understand, right? So yeah, and that if you're interested in just having the huge number of followers when anyone comes on your Instagram page, that can work. However, if you're after quality engagement, that may not necessarily work, because not everyone who is in that group is really interested in what you have to offer. They are just following so that you can follow their own page, or they're just engaging so that it's a service, right? It's a paid service. So I knew that, but a lot of business owners did not know that, and for some who knew that, they did not mind as long as they had that huge number of followers that they were seeing on their profile, right? In fact, I remember I was supposed to handle social media for one of the big insurance companies in Lagos, right? Now, it wasn't their own Instagram page, but it was an Instagram page for a project that they were sponsoring or handling at the time, right? I had gone to their office, met with the reps. I think we had like email exchanges. That was supposed to be my big break. However, at one point, I think we got on a call, and one of the questions they asked me was, how many followers are you going to get for us every month? And I'm just like, oh shit. I just knew I had lost it, right? I had lost that gig. My honest response was, I cannot guarantee like a specific number. However, if we run ads and if we keep putting out like valuable and engaging and high quality content, the page will definitely grow. I never got that gig. Now, I don't know what the specific reason was, because I sent an email asking. Unfortunately, they never responded. I don't know why, but my guess was that that was one of the reasons why they didn't go ahead with me, right? Because for them to have asked me that question, maybe other people had promised them something around that topic, right? So I knew I couldn't play on that field. I knew I just couldn't. I wasn't ready to play on that field, right? Because I know the implications of doing that in the long run. And then the final reason was unrealistic expectations from business owners. Now, I believe that as a business owner, if your number one immediate short-term goal is sales, then you need more than a social media manager. Social media managers are not magicians. We do not have a wand that will just wave and everything becomes new and shiny, and you suddenly start making $1 million in your business, or you suddenly grow from maybe 50 followers to 1 million followers in 2 weeks. It does not happen. Yes, some of those things happen, but it's not a normal day occurrence, right? It's not a normal occurrence. So unfortunately, not a lot of business owners have realistic expectations. And I'm not even talking about, I'm talking about conversations that I've had with business owners myself. Some people want you to start managing their pages and they immediately have thousands of followers tripping into the page. Sometimes social media managers have to undo the work that you've done that has been keeping or making your page stagnant, and that may take a while, right? But if in your head you've said, oh my god, I'm shadow banned, for instance, or the engagement on the platform is not good, a social media manager is going to fix that, or I should be making 1 million naira every week from my page and I'm not making that, a social media manager would sort that out. No, that's not the right way to go. Ideally, a social media manager is a social media manager's primary function or role or responsibility, minus or outside managing the page, is to help to generate qualified leads that you can now convert to sales. Our direct role is not sales. However, the things, and how do we get the qualified leads is, increase traffic and eyeballs to your platforms, by putting out, so by the time you do like reverse engineer these things, the things that social media managers should be doing to get you this, to get you to that. Getting sales is not a direct responsibility and role of a social media manager. However, if that is what you want, then you have to now discuss that with your social media manager. Sometimes some of the tasks that we perform as social media managers is not compulsorily under our umbrella. For instance, at the 3 corporate jobs that I had as a social media manager, I was not in charge of designing graphics, right? I would create the content or put together the content ideas, put it on the content calendar, and then when it's approved by my manager, I share with the graphic designer or the media team, and they now use that, whatever is on the content calendar, to create my graphic and send back to me to post. So I wasn't even in charge of graphic designing, right? For videos, it's also the graphic or the media team that will do that and send to me to post, depending on the kind of videos. So all of these things depend on the agreements that you have with whoever you're hiring. Unfortunately, like I said, not a lot of business owners have realistic expectations. They want the social media manager to be the A to Z of the business. Sometimes a customer's buying decision relies, on a lot of things that are a lot of times out of the social media manager's control. Very simple example. You have you have a physical store, a brick and mortar store, right? And then you have an Instagram page, and then you hire a social media manager. Now, I as a social media manager would do all the work, brainstorm, give you fantastic content. Let's say I'm the one in charge of creating graphics, no problem. I'll do that, post it, engagement on the page is superb, right? Let's say I'm also in charge of DMs, right? I'm attending to your DMs and, to a certain extent, right? However, because you have a physical store, you probably have like phone lines phone lines that people can call if they want to call the store directly, or if they want to walk into the store to order. So I've done my bit, right, on Instagram. And a customer goes into your store and is treated badly by your customer care rep in the store, or the customer even calls and whoever is speaking is not very responsive or very helpful, or the customer tries to order on the website and the website is slow or whatever, there are issues with the website. You can see all of these things that I'm pointing out. Or let's even say the pricing. Sometimes it might be the pricing. So you have this fantastic product, however you are targeting the wrong set of people who do not have the financial power, right, and cannot afford the product that you're selling, or they can afford it but the packaging does not appeal to the target audience or to the people that you're targeting. And so you can see all of the things that influence a customer's final purchase decision. Can you see that some of these things are beyond a social media manager's job description? They are, but not a lot of people are honest enough to know that the social media manager is not a magician, is not the beginning and the end of the sales process. We are part of it, right? We can, like I said, generating qualified leads, but we're not all of it, right? We're not magicians. In fact, I've read, I've seen cases where, some business owners hire social media managers and they are not keeping up to their end of the deal. So for instance, I reach out to some pages, right, and I say, oh, is this product still available, right? Because they've outsourced social media management to someone else, that person may not even be working in-house, maybe a freelance social media manager. The person does not have access to inventory, right? So he or she has to confirm from someone else, maybe in the store, oh, is this still available and all of that, or may have to reach out to the business owner. I've seen cases where it has taken days, maybe a whole day or 2 days before the person comes back to me and says, oh, I'm sorry, I had to confirm from my boss, or sometimes when a social media manager is trying to create the content calendar, ideally creating the content calendar should be a collaborative effort, right? Because I'm not the owner of the business. However, based on what you've told me and things you've shared with me about your business or your brand, I have an idea of content, right, that should go out on your platforms. So I'll put together all of those, put it on a content calendar, and you have to approve before I now go ahead. Some people are either too busy to even look at the content calendar, and it's dragging and it just makes the whole process very daunting. Business owners need to manage the expectations of social media managers. If you expect unorthodox things, right, or tasks or responsibilities from your social media manager, please have the conversation with the person so that he or she knows what he or she is signing up for and what responsibilities have been placed on that person's shoulders. I just thought to share, like I said, because I've never really sat down to talk about it. I've been wanting to, but I did not know how to go about it. But just just sit down and hit the camera and just talk about this. So if you have specific questions based on my experience as a social media manager, then you can also ask in the comments and I'll be happy to respond to them. All right, I will see you in my next video. If you're not yet subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button, especially if you enjoyed this video. Till then, stay safe, stay fabulous, stay blessed. Goodbye.